What's up, y'all? This is Street Smart Sarge, and I'm back with another Virginia's Gangsta Files. Yeah, on the number one hip hop media channel, Greedy Tycoon Media, on YouTube. So, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the bell to get all notifications. Now, the story today is going to take place in Roanoke, Virginia. It's a story that gets so deep that the top guys themselves becomes secret informants. Whoa. Yes, sir, y'all. This story is a good one. And yeah, it takes place in the late 80s and the early 90s. But, it's still a good story, and it took place in Virginia. So, I had to pull it up. So, let's get on with the story. This is Street Smart Sarge here, and let's go. So, the story takes place in Roanoke, Virginia. The late 80s, there was a time where Roanoke underworld was caking, making so much money, so the police would keep doing raids and running into drug known locations and trying to make busts. But even though they kept on trying to do raids and kicking, they won't turning up any information until they ran into Joseph B. Garcia Jr. Now, Joseph B. Garcia Jr. was charged of selling an 8 ball of cocaine to an officer, which he eventually decided to help the police get the person that he gets it from. And they kept on using him to get more people that were dealing drugs. Joseph B. Garcia Jr. was the lowest guy you could be on the drug chain. The Vice Lieutenant Ron said this guy was so low on the drug chain, you just couldn't get no lower. This is a classic example of what we try to do working with federal agents. A street dealer down here in the southeast Roanoke in the housing projects. We roll all the way back to Columbia. That's the way it should work. That's what the Vice Lieutenant said. Now, Joseph Garcia Jr. was, like I said, an informant, which they rolled him all the way up till they got to the main guys. 2 car dealers, Javier Cruz and Leonardo Rivera Ruz, were the 2 top suppliers in the area. There was a used car salesman that actually turned on Cruz. But Cruz was actually transporting like kilos, hundreds of kilos at the time. And at the time he had got a commission for pushing out so many keys. So he put a used car dealer, with the commission, cocaine, and that's what he got caught with. And then he told on Cruz. Now Cruz was, selling the stuff out of his Melrose Avenue Northwest lot, in Roanoke, Virginia. He had a boss. Like I said, his boss was Leonardo Rivera Ruz. And the 2 became undercover informants. The feds picked up the case from Roanoke police in 1991. At least 6 locals were caught up in the Operation El Cid. There were 28 people indicted on Cruz's case. Half a dozen include Cruz and his first wife Pamela, who lived in Roanoke at that time. The 28 faced drug conspiracy and related charges. Another 13 people were indicted separately as a result of money laundering sting that Cruz and Riviera worked for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. Among the 28 named in January indictment are people who allegedly drove vehicles loaded with cocaine to and from Roanoke for Cruz. His real estate agent who helped conceal drug money during real estate transactions. The indictment also says Cruz had locals make frequent trips to Phoenix, Los Angeles, and Miami to pick up cocaine that was unloaded at a Bend Mountain stash house. Then they would later deliver the cocaine to New York and Philadelphia, according to the indictment, transporting millions of dollars worth of cocaine at the time. Cruz called his car dealership Like New Inc., but called his transportation business the company. Earl Wilson, Shannon Wilson Perry, Wendy Gilchrist, and Kim and Jean Kisney are the carriers who drove specially equipped vehicles across the country. Employees of the company loaded cocaine into campers and cars modified with false ceilings and a remote control component. The drop-offs would work like this. The carrier would drop off the vehicle at a Manhattan parking garage, then take a cab to the hotel, and the buyer would pick up the keys from the carriers and go pick up the cocaine from the vehicle, which was parked in the parking garage. Then return the keys to the carrier, and the carriers would drive back to Roanoke. F. Earl Firth, a local real estate agent, is accused of money laundering and structuring financial transactions for the Cruzes to conceal the origin of drug money. Firth denied the charges. Firth said, "I sold the man some real estate, and that's all I know about it." First sold the Cruzes a Floyd country farm in 1989 when they were living as Lois and Martha Flores and posing as dairy farmers with two small sons. They used aliases because Cruz was running from a first-degree murder charge in Charlotte, North Carolina. The charges were dropped down to involuntary manslaughter. Cruz pled guilty and did 16 months for that charge. Cruz was sent to Colombia soon after to do undercover work. The Colombians supplied 80% of the world's cocaine at that time.